Welcome, friends. We are back with step 3 of the home buying process, and probably one of the most fun parts. You have figured out your financing, you've gotten your realtor, established that relationship, and now it's time to find your home. Now, let's be honest, you have probably already been out there, maybe driving around, maybe looking online, doing all the kinds of things, just getting an idea of what homes are available, what you might be able to buy. Now you have a sense of what's going to be in your price range. So you've probably already started this process a little bit already. But we're going to dig right into it and make sure that the process of finding your home is not crazy, confusing, and all over the place, but an organized process. So let's do it. We're going to start with our master checklist. We have finished all the pre-approval stuff. Now we can also check off we've hired our realtor. We are ready to go. It's time to find our home. So in this video, we're going to talk about 3 things. We're going to talk about creating your needs assessment, which is an awesome tool in our workbook that we're going to work through, and then finding those houses, and finally some home viewing etiquette. Etiquette for not only your realtor, but the seller as well. So you make sure that you create a positive process while seeing all the homes that you want to see. Let's start with a fun fact here. On average, buyers view 9 homes before making a selection. Some people only see 1 and some people see 20. There's all different levels of how many homes people actually go and see, but on average, buyers view about 9 homes before making a selection. All right. We're going to create your needs assessment. So if you haven't already seen it, you need to go to page 15 in your workbook and just get that open, because what we're going to make here is something that is going to be awesome for you, but also awesome for your realtor. Your realtor needs insight into what your needs are. And this needs assessment is going to create it for him or her so that they can look for the homes that fit your needs the best. Handing this over to them gives them the opportunity to take you to houses that really fit what you want and not take you to houses that don't. So it doesn't waste your time. It doesn't waste their time. It really keeps you focused right from the beginning. So this needs assessment is really step 1 in making sure that the houses you look at are ones that are really in the ballpark of what you're going to need. And so I've just kind of thrown myself in here, like how I would fill this out. So my name, me, my wife Mackenzie, and our son Logan. I am self-employed. I own Shine Insurance Agency. The price range I would want to be in, maybe right around there, including any renovations. If I needed to, if we were looking at a house that had some work that needed to be done, then the sale price would need to be lower because we would need to figure in the cost of renovations and changes that we wanted to make. And I created a goal move-in date. Now, I don't actually have any intention of moving right now, but we used 3 months from now as an example. This gives your realtor a sense of how serious the timeline is, how quick the timeline is, and what options that means can be available. And maybe if they know something is coming available in the next month or so, they can let you know that even as you're looking at other houses because they know your timeline. Now, the next page digs in a little bit more, and this is really about just the general environment that you're looking for. Each of these options asks you to just put some information in there, but then it also asks you to put a level on the left side. So this is the level of priority that particular thing is for you. So here's an example of me putting it in there. I live in Bloomington, Indiana. I want to live in Bloomington, Indiana, so that would be a level 10 priority. I don't want to live anywhere else. The east or southeast side of Bloomington, Indiana is particularly a place that I like because I've lived here lots of different times over the course of my life. It's a good part of town for me, but it wouldn't be the highest priority. If there was something perfect out there in another part of town, I'd certainly be open to that. And so I put a 6 as the priority. Talked about the school district that we're in right now, but the priority may not be super high on that one. And then the environment, if it was perfect, I would be willing to go out and live in the country. My wife and I go back and forth about whether we want to, do the country thing or do the urban thing. Right now, if we were going to move, we would probably want to, do the urban right by town thing. So, I said only if it's perfect, and the level on that rural piece is pretty high. It would have to really be perfect. And then walking distance from downtown, that's where we would prefer to be. And then, the possibility of being suburban. But for us, we would have to be on the bus line because we like to ride the bus into town, go on dates and stuff like that. So that's how I completed this page. You obviously can complete this with your own interests and your own needs. The next one is the actual house itself. What is it that you want in the house itself? So again, I filled it in. I won't go through all the details of what I said, but when talking about square footage and bedrooms and the yard and the kitchen, and do you want a garage or not? Or, what are accessibility needs that you have? Are there other spaces not mentioned above that you really think are an important part of your home buying process, or other amenities? For me, it's sunlight. I love a house with sunlight. Have to have that coming in. Super important to me. Really was the most important thing, besides having at least 3 bedrooms. So all that information is there with priorities on the left side in our needs assessment. We've said, what our basic information is. We've said what town we want to live in, if we want to be rural, urban, or suburban, and finally about our house, what details we need specifically about our house. So now we have that taken care of, and we can offer that to our realtor as he or she looks for homes that fit our needs. All right. So we've got our needs assessment. Now we need to start searching for houses. So what are the best ways to look for houses? Well, the easiest way, and the way that most people start, is going online. So Zillow and Trulia are common. Home Finder is a place that you can go to. Oftentimes there's sites in your specific area that are specific to you. So you may want to talk to your realtor about what sites that they would suggest you look on, and go out and start looking for properties online. We're going to want to keep track of those properties, and I'm going to show you how we're going to do that inside of our workbook in just a second. But online is option number 1. Ask your realtor. No matter how many houses you find online, there could be the perfect house that isn't listed at all. Realtors know about houses that are going to be listed soon, that are listed off of the books or off of the online spaces, all those kinds of things. So when you hand that needs assessment over to your realtor, say, hey, here's what we need. Please let us know if you have things available that we can't see online. We'll be looking online and letting you know the options we find, but do let us know if you see options that fit our needs but aren't present in the online space. And then finally, go for drives. I mean, we all do that, right? We go drive around the neighborhoods we might want to live in, just drive around town. It's good for, just being together and going to do something, but also it can help you to find a house that's for sale that maybe you didn't see online, or maybe you didn't know existed. Maybe your realtor didn't know existed. When it comes to for sale by owners, a lot of those just have a sign out in the front yard. So you may find some of those out on a drive, but most importantly, it gives you a sense of what different neighborhoods are in your price range, in the areas you want to live, in your school districts that you want to be in, and it gives you a sense, a lay of the land, so that when you do go out to houses with your realtor, you already kind of know that neighborhood and know what you're getting into there. Okay, so let's look at the home option tracker that is in your workbook, and there's really 2 parts of it. One part is for when you're just looking, and the second part is when we go into the houses. Actually, we'll have sort of a different option for that. So this is just for houses that you're just looking. Maybe you saw it online, maybe you saw it on a drive, and write that address down, write the price down, take a few notes, and then put the level of how interested you are. If it's the perfect house, you can just tell, then put a 10 up there. If it seems like a good option, but you're not exactly sure, maybe a 5 makes more sense. We want to know, when we looked at that place, drove by or whatever, what we thought of it, from the beginning. So that gives you a level of which ones are good options. What we want to do is trigger your mind to remember which house is which, without, having to have a whole bunch of different details in there at first. So, this will give you a level of what you liked about it, where it was, and a few notes that'll remind you which is which, so you can keep it all organized. So that's that. All right. So you've found some homes, you've told your realtor about them, you're going to go and check them out. So let's think about how we do that. Well, we contact our realtor and we say, hey, here's a list of 8 homes that I found that I think might be good options. When's a time that we can get together and go out and look at those homes? And your realtor will say, hey, how about Saturday or whatever? You guys will schedule a time to go look at some homes. Now, I think it's really important, and hopefully your realtor says the same thing, that you visit no more than 4 homes in one session. A couple reasons for this. One, if you're going home by home, it usually takes about a half an hour at least to look at a home. And so we put that, multiply that times 4, and we're spending 2 hours looking at 4 homes. I think that's a fair assessment. And after 2 hours, you're going to get kind of run down. And when you get run down, you start not seeing the things that are important or seeing things that aren't important, because you've already seen these other houses and you don't have the energy anymore. And it starts to, sway the way you feel about houses in a way that may not be beneficial to you. So, so you want to just go to C4. The other big reason is that you just start getting confused. You start being like, oh, I like the greenhouse with the big, mantle and fireplace. And actually the greenhouse didn't have a fireplace. That was the red house or whatever. So you want to just view 4 homes in one session at most, and definitely take notes during the process so you can remember what you saw in those homes and what you liked or didn't like. And so you're going to note the pros and cons while you're at the house. And you can do that on your workbook. You have the other home tracker, the second part of the home tracker. That's pretty simple. You may want to take a notebook and take more detailed notes if you want, but this gives you a sense of, again, the address, price, square footage, and the size of the lot. How big is it? Things you loved and drawbacks. And there's only those 2 pieces really because the purpose of this is to keep organized. And so you want to remember the important pieces that were good and that were drawbacks when you look at this document. If you want to, take a ton more notes or whatever, it's up to you on other pieces of paper. But to me, these simple pieces of information is important for going out and looking at these houses. And, there's option 1, option 2, and the next page has option 3 and option 4. So it's set up to really give you a 1 session breakdown of 4 houses that you looked at. Obviously, you can add some more after that if you want to. So that's the way to keep track and to go out and look at some houses. Let's talk about home viewing etiquette. Yes, there is etiquette, and we're going to talk about it right now. So you want to be respectful, of course, to your realtor and to the seller, giving them time, making the process work for them. Everything works better when you're kind and when you do things in a way that's respectful for other people. So the first thing is you want to talk to your realtor ahead of time about their hours, when they're available to show you houses. Most realtors understand that they have to be available a lot more than maybe a normal job. They need to be available on Saturdays, possibly Sundays, after work hours. That's important, and most realtors are available during those times. But if you talk with them before, early on in the process about what their hours are, then you've established that connection. They know that you know that their time is important, and that while you are going to be very respectful of it, you also need them to show you houses. And so if they've said they're available on Sundays from noon to 5, don't call them and ask them to take you to a house at 8 in the morning on a Sunday, and I think those are the kinds of things that are just being respectful of your realtor's hours by understanding what they are and then sticking with them. The next one is, group visits rather than asking to see one at a time. If you drive by a house and then you call your realtor and say, hey, can we go see this in 20 minutes? And then do the same thing, the next day, and do the same thing the next day, your realtor's not going to be very happy with you. Now, if there's a one-time situation where you see a house and you know that it's a pretty hot house and maybe there aren't very many houses on the market that really fit what you're looking for, and this thing is just, could be the perfect option, then calling your realtor and expecting him or her to do the best they can to get you into that house in a reasonable period of time, of course that makes sense. But asking over and over again to see one house at a time puts everybody out, and it isn't the best way to go about it. The last one is give at least 24 hours notice to the seller. If you're living in a house, you've got to live your life. Your house isn't always perfectly clean. Your dishes aren't always, put into the dishwasher or put away. You need a little bit of time to be able to figure out, to be able to set your house up so it looks great. Houses show better when people have time to set them up nicely, and you want to look at houses that are set up properly. So giving the seller time, at least 24 hours notice to be able to get their house put together is a really respectful way and great etiquette on your part. Okay, so that is home viewing etiquette. Let's talk about rookie mistake. In this video, we have 2 rookie mistakes. The first one is looking at 10 houses in one session and not taking any notes. You're going to be overwhelmed. You're going to feel terrible. You're not going to remember which house was what. You're just going to forget everything about the process. You're not going to know what side is up, what side is down, and it is not going to be a good process for you. So rookie mistake number 1 is looking at too many houses in one session. And rookie mistake number 2 is having too high of expectations. And here's what I mean. You created that needs assessment. You have all these needs, and those needs are all important, right? No house is going to fulfill every one of those needs. If you have found a house that fulfilled every need, I want you to go over to our Facebook group right now and tell us all about it, because I have not heard of someone who ever fulfilled every need they had with one house. It just doesn't happen. You've got to understand that your needs, the highest needs, the most important needs, then those will get met. And then the other ones, they may not get met in the same way. You may have to compromise a little bit, find something that has one thing but doesn't have the other. Maybe you can add it later or something like that. So a rookie mistake is having too high of expectations and then just being let down over and over and over again by all these houses. It ends up frustrating you and, taking away from the positive experience. You got to know you're going to make some compromises. It's okay. That's just how it goes with buying a house. All right. So what you learned today, well, you got the inside scoop on creating a needs assessment, probably the most important part of your home buying experience, finding those houses, going out in all those different ways and finding them, and finally some home viewing etiquette, some things you can just do to make the experience great for you, great for your realtor, and great for the seller. All works out to your benefit in the end. Okay. Next step 4 is making an offer. Once you've found that perfect house, we're going to make an offer, and I'm going to help you have some inside tips on how to do this in a way that not only makes it smoother and easier, but probably saves you some money in the process. So step 4, make an offer. Looking forward to talking that over in the next video. Right now, what you can do, head over to the Facebook group and share how you're feeling. There's got to be lots of feelings about this one, what it's like to go find houses, how other people have found great houses. Ask people stories about what houses they found, what secret way they found houses that no one else had ever brought up, not even in this video. So, share what was surprising, confusing, and what you wonder about this video, and also just about the home finding process. We're over there and ready to answer your questions. All right. Looking forward to the next video about making the offer on your dream house. Until the next time, have a wonderful day.